Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today is going to be like a cooking one. I am going to be making my daughter's 2-year birthday cake, and I figured I'd take you guys along for the ride. So I'm going to show you the items that I am using, and we'll get started. So for the cake, I'm just using the Great Value Extra Confetti White Cake. This is from Walmart. This was like 93 cents. I am using the Wilton Creamy Decorator icing. I cannot speak this morning. I'm sorry. This is a 4.5 pound tub, and it's good for like this kind of cake that I'm doing. It's actually really yummy frosting. I had to pre-make a cake already, so I'm hoping that I have enough in here to do what I'm doing. So to follow this for the recipe, because I'm doing 2 boxes, it's doubled. So I need 2 cups of water, 1 cup of vegetable oil, 6 eggs. I'm going to be using an 8-inch cake pan. And you're also going to need a mixer. This is my Oscar mixer. Any hand, you could do it by hand, you could do it by, the little electric one, or if you have one of these, it's totally fine. But this makes it so much easier. So I'm going to go ahead, bring all the ingredients over, and we're going to get started. So what I like to do is I like to mix all of my wet ingredients first. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pour that all in. Okay, I'm going to add my whipping attachment. And I'm going to put this on a speed of like 4. Then I'm slowly going to go up to about an 8. And mix it until it's well combined. Alright, so once it's well combined, I'm going to take my first packet and I'm going to pour some of it in. I'm going to close it and I'm going to mix it. I'm going to pour in the rest. And I'm going to mix it. So once this is completely combined, I'm going to be pouring the next one in and I will be back. Alright, so once it is completely done and mixed, your batter is going to look like this. And I'm using this big spoon because, like I said, I've pre-made this cake and I know how much of it I need. So I went ahead and I greased my 8-inch pan with some butter. And now I'm just going to do 4 scoops of the batter. So that is 4 scoops. And now I'm just going to Spread it around. I do this to try to get out any air bubbles and to make it flat. Now for this, the oven needs to be set at 350 for metal or glass and 325 for dark non-stick. So my oven currently is at 350 because I made Cinnabons for breakfast. So I'm just going to bring it down to 325 and leave it for a couple of minutes, and then I will pop it in. Alright, so now that my oven is ready, I'm going to take my cake and I'm going to place it in the center rack of my oven, right in the middle, to ensure that it will bake evenly all the way around. Got that in there. Now, it says for the time it takes 26 to 31 minutes for an 8-inch round cake. I put it on for about 20 minutes and check it because my cake pan isn't that deep like a normal like 8-inch one is, because this is from I have one of those kits that you can make like the soccer ball or the Barbie cake, and so it's the pan that goes with that, so it's not really that high for sides, which makes it perfect because you don't need to cut the cake in half for your layers. This actually is going to make my layered cake without me having to cut any of that. So once that is back, I will be back. And in the meantime, while that is cooking, I'm going to set everything else up and show you what else you're going to need. Alright, so the next thing you're going to need is you're going to need a cake plate thing. I can always forget the names of these. But I didn't have any circle ones, so I actually had an extra of a large sheet one that I had that I just gone ahead and I just cut it into place. You're going to need one of these kind of spatulas. I don't know the name of it. You need a long handled spatula. You need 3 piping bags, and cups make it easier to set the piping bag in while you fill it. You're going to need 2 bowls. You're going to need your 2 primary colors, and I am using teal, and these are gel colors, and violet. You're going to need 2 knives. And obviously you're going to need the icing. So what I went ahead and did was I put a little bit of icing on my spinning tray. That's just going to ensure that the cake doesn't move while I frost it and all of that stuff. And I just placed that on there. So now that's all set. The other thing I did was I made a spot in my freezer, because what I do is I pull my cakes out and they go in the freezer to cool, so that way I can go ahead and make another one. I do that when I only have 1 pan. So I'm going to set everything up and I'm going to show you how I mix my icing and how to put it in the piping bags. Alright, so what you're going to do is you're going to open up your icing. This is about how much icing I have left out of this 4.5 pound tub. You're going to take your large spatula and you're going to scoop some into your first piping bag, because you got to do a crumb coat and the layers, and it's all the white icing for that. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to fill that first. So I've filled that bag, so I'm just going to leave that aside. So the next thing you're going to do is you're going to take one of your bowls and you're going to put icing in the bowl. I'm going to take about that much. Pop it in the bowl. Take about that much, pop it in the other bowl. A little too much. I need to make sure that I have enough white. So then I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to cover up my icing. I'm going to put that away. So now what we're going to do is we're going to mix the two colors. Because I am doing a mermaid themed cake, I'm using the teal and the violet. The teal is going to go along the bottom and then it's going to transition into the violet and then it's going to be white. So what you want to do is you're going to open up your gel. I've pre-made a hole in it. You're going to take your knife. I want really dark colors, so I'm going to take about that much. You're going to take your bowl, place it in there, and you're going to mix that all up. Hey, yo, watch it with the broom. So once it's all mixed, it's going to look like this. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing for the teal and I'll be back and show you that. So then the teal is going to look like this. So then what you're going to do is you're going to take your other piping bags and you're going to fill your piping bags with the colored icing. Keep the bowls in case you need to mix more colors. You're not going through so much of the like bowls and stuff like that. And my piping bags are 12-inch piping bags. And I like using a knife because it's like a spatula. Makes things easier to try to scoop it all up and get it in the bowl. If you wanted to, you could use a spoon to mix the color and then use the knife to then, you know, put it in. But so now what we're gonna do is I've got my frostings all in each piping bag. I'm going to close the piping bag. So I'm going to slide it off the cup. And close it. Okay. So it's going to look like that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some scissors. And I'm going to cut an opening. And then I'm just going to squeeze it to the bottom. Squeeze it to right about there and then just sit that in my cup. That's why it's nice to have the cups when you're setting up your piping bags, because then you can just pop them in the cup afterwards. Okay. So now my piping bags are all set. I'll show you. So now my piping bags are all set. And my cake is at about 2 minutes. That's what it looks like. I'm going to grab a knife and I'm going to check it. So my cake is done. And I'm now going to pop it in the freezer for a couple of minutes. Just to cool it enough so that I can take it out. Because then I'm going to be replacing it with this. Just to keep it chilled. Makes your icing a lot easier to go on. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull that out of the freezer. I've already attached it to the silver plate that's on here. I did that with a little bit of icing. So as you can see, it is a little uneven. So you're going to take a serrated knife. I'm going to find the lowest point. What did my icing harden? Take my lowest point. Keeping the knife straight and just slowly go into the cake. Halfway and turn. Okay, now I'm just going to grab a bowl for some scraps. I'm going to pick up that thin layer and put it there. I'm just going to make sure that it's as even as possible. Okay. And now I'm going to pick this up because my tray is freezing, and I'm going to pop this back in the freezer until my other cake is ready to come out, and then I will be showing you how I ice in it. Alright, so I've got my cake. We're going to do the first top filling of the cake. So I've got my white icing. I'm just going to go in a circle. And then like a zigzag. Okay. Now I'm going to take this spatula and I'm just going to try to smooth it out. Okay, so I've got my first layer of frosting on. Now, I learned from the first time making this cake that I did too much frosting in the center. And with all the frosting that goes on the outside of the cake, it's actually a lot of frosting. So this time I'm just going to do thin layers. It doesn't need to be too bad because there's going to be a lot of frosting around the actual cake. So this is how I decided that I want to do it this time. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this and I'm going to pop it back in the freezer for the remaining 8 minutes just to set it a little bit more. Alright, so I am 3 layers in and I have used all of my icing. So I actually have to go get another one. I just want to finish baking my layers. I thought this was going to be a 6-layer cake. It's going to actually be a 5-layer cake. I went ahead and I put some little dowel pieces in there just to hold it, you know, just to help sturdy it some more. And then the next 2 layers I'll put more in. But yeah, I need the extra icing because, like I said, I'm doing thin in here. But, like, I use the icing to build this out right here. So I'll like pipe it in the space of the crevices to really make it a smooth cake. That way we don't have to go through and like cut the cake. That's why I said there's going to be a lot of frosting in this. So I don't mind that the middle layers don't have a lot of frosting. I'm okay with that.